Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to Circling Seattle Sports on Converge Media. Of course, as always, without a doubt, it is your host here, Charles Hamaker, back in the Black Media Matters studios here on April 8th. The month of April continues on. We're past April 1st and all the stupid shenanigans that come with the beginning of the month. Another Monday here. And a decently packed episode here to go over. While some teams may be in breaks, so to say, with the rain, having an international break, the Storm are still in their respective offseason, despite the fact that I've brought the WNBA hoodie out for today's episode with the Women's March Madness Championship taking place by the time that you're seeing this yesterday. There's some stuff to look at there that the team recently announced, and we should have some stuff going forward in this month of April as we approach training camp for the team and so on and so forth. The Seahawks did make some news in a few different ways as their offseason continues and rolls along as we approach the draft for them as well, and a few other things. So keeping with the last team that we talked about with the Seahawks, we'll go directly into the Seahawks-related news here. On April the 2nd, the team did sign wide receiver Laviska Shenault Jr. To a one-year league minimum deal. It's a veteran minimum, that is fully guaranteed. The former Jacksonville Jaguar and Carolina Panther signs a one-year deal. He will factor in on the kick returns under the new NFL rules that are heavily influenced by the XFL's kick returns and how much they employ a two-returner system. Shenault's very interesting. I mean, he was really a big gadget-type player for the Colorado Buffaloes in his college time. Had some big plays when he was healthy for Carolina last year, whether it was rushing or in the kick return game, and does have that dynamic sort of ability that you're looking for in a guy that wants to return kicks or that you want to return kicks, or be able to mix in around on the field, whether it's finding plays for him that just get the football in his hands, getting him into the return game and using the return game as an asset to your football team and helping your offense out, or if it's just adding someone else who can tote the rock. So interesting there to see him get signed by Seattle. Not exactly surprised, considering how that hasn't been necessarily the biggest strong suit for Seattle, and someone who was a primary returner for them last year, DJ Dallas, having signed with the Arizona Cardinals in the offseason. So Shenault will fill a role there for Seattle, at least for this one-year deal that he's signed to. There are a few things that the team is looking at in terms of free agency that they haven't made a move on yet. The team is looking to sign a veteran guard of some sort. They've been tied to a guard like Laken Tomlinson, who spent time with the Detroit Lions and the San Francisco 49ers. Former Chicago Bear Cody Whitehair. They're really looking for an established veteran guard that they can insert into one of those positions, considering that they've lost Damian Lewis. Gabe Jackson's been gone. Evan Brown has gone at the center position as well. They did bring in Nick Harris to play in the center position or compete there with Oluwatimi. I believe Phil Haynes is still a free agent. I don't know if they're going to bring him back, or if they would have done so already. Greg Van Roten is also a player to be looking at here. He was set to visit the team on April 3rd. He was in training camp with Seattle way back in the season of 2014, but was released in the preseason prior to the regular season roster. He was the highest rated Raiders offensive lineman in terms of overall blocking grade last season for them via Pro Football Focus, starting in all 17 games for Seattle. So, I mean, you're looking for a guard, solid blocking grade there for him, and durability, starting all 17 games. Those are two positive things, but at this current moment, by the time that you're seeing this, the Seahawks haven't signed anybody in terms of the veteran guard position to fill that sort of role that they're looking to plug right now. We go over here to the other piece of news that is legitimate and not just something that they're looking at. April 13th, the team did announce that they've signed Joey Lane to serve as the team's new Vice President of Football Administration. Lane had previously served as the salary cap analyst for the Green Bay Packers. He now replaces Matt Thomas, who left the Seattle organization after 11 seasons. Lane will essentially manage the team's salary cap. A few players that have come from Green Bay in recent years have gone on to be sort of salary cap wizards. There's a gentleman with the Tennessee Titans right now that fills that sort of role as well. So it'll be interesting to see what Lane does. A lot of what Thomas did in his time with the Seahawks involved in negotiating contracts and working with the salary cap. So, obviously if you can use the salary cap to your advantage and find ways around it and add more talent to your football team, then you're going to be better in the NFL. You get some sort of advantage. So you're hoping that Lane is able to do something like that for the Seahawks during his tenure here in Seattle. So moving into our Mariners segment of the show here, the banner will likely tell you the story, but it's been a tough start to the season. I get it. We're not even 20 games in yet. I think we just hit the 10-game mark, or we're just about to have. And again, I'm going to emphasize I'm not calling the end of the world here. I get that, with the negative comments that were made to begin the offseason, and then there were some throughout the course of the offseason regarding the organization and spending and so on and so forth, plus the lack of hitting to begin the season and a couple of pitching struggles just with how the season's gone so far. It doesn't create the best sort of mixture for some fans. I understand that, but at least for me, I'm not super worried about this Mariners team currently. We go over here directly into it. The April 1st game against the Cleveland Guardians continued a 7-game homestand for the Mariners, but began that series with the Guardians. They started that series off with a 5-4 win. Our player of the game, left fielder Dominic Canzone. 1 hit, 1 run, 3 RBIs, a 3-run homer for Canzone in this one. A big home run, as obviously you can tell. They won by the 1 run. They needed that 3-run homer by Dom to keep that going and to give them the necessary lead so that they could pick up that win. It's nice to see Canzone. When he's able to get a hold of a ball, he's really able to drive it. He added 15 pounds of muscle this offseason. He had another home run later in the week that we'll talk about in a second here as we get through the course of the games. But, if he's able to improve some of his swing decisions and really work towards being better at the plate, then he should be a good asset and he should have a good year for this Mariners ball club. The Mariners weren't able to keep the winning ways up for the next 2 games of the series, as you can see on your screen. April 2nd versus the Guardians was a 2-5 loss. Our play of the game catcher Cal Raleigh, 2 hits, 1 run. Tough in this one. The Mariners, they at times they've been stuck at that 2-run number, and they just weren't able to keep going. Tough one to lose there. You look for the rubber match to keep things going. George Kirby was on the mound, and this game, April 3rd versus the Guardians, was just a really ugly one, an 8-0 loss for the Mariners. They lose that series against Cleveland. They have a losing record on the 7-game homestand to begin the year. This one was just tough. Kirby on the mound, he didn't feel like his pitches were bad per se. Cleveland's just really good with getting the bat on the ball. There were some mistakes by the infield, some errors, some misplayed balls, just by the defense generally as well. And the offense, obviously, when you get shut out, you can't really do much there. So it was all around just a really bad way to end the homestand, bad way to end the series, and an ugly game in total. So from there, the Mariners, They leave that day. It's a getaway day. They spend the off day in Milwaukee. Then they begin a 6-game road trip with a 3-game series against the Milwaukee Brewers. April 5th at the Brewers, a 5-6 loss. This one was really tough. Our player of the game, right fielder Mitch Hamaker, 1 hit, 1 run, 1 RBI. The Mariners were able to get a lead late. They pushed hard throughout this one. They didn't really start the game well. They did fight to be able to get back into this game and get into a position late into the innings where they could have won it potentially. But Andres Munoz, uncharacteristically, he walks all 4 batters that he faces in the bottom of the 9th, and he walks in the winning run. He's never walked more than 2 batters, I don't believe, in 1 inning. So really tough for Andres there. He's able to prove himself if he needed to. The next game, April 6th at the Brewers, a 5-3 win. The Mariners did need some insurance runs here. They did jump out ahead, got 2 runs early. They were able to get some insurance runs late with homers by Jorge Polanco and Luis Arias. And then Andres Munoz comes in and shuts the door. Our player of the game, right-handed pitcher Bryce Miller. Big Tex, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits allowed, no runs against, 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts on the day for Miller. Great second start of the season for Bryce, and he keeps the Brewers scoreless for 7 innings, really helping them push things forward. A lot of folks thought maybe that he would go 8 innings, but the long-winded answer that Scott Service gave was essentially there's a lot that goes into that and why they decided to pull him ahead of the 8th inning. April 7th, so you're hoping after the dramatic win in Game 2 that, you got the even series, you're trying to get the rubber match there to get a series win. You're able to do so. April 7th at the Brewers, a 4-12 loss. This one just really ugly. You had Emerson Hancock on the mound, and he's not really a whiff guy. The Brewers were able to jump all over him. They scored 6 runs across the first few innings. They had 10 runs before you knew it, really, within the first 5 innings. And the Mariners, they were able to get some runs the first few innings, but they weren't able to keep up with Milwaukee throughout the course of this game. Dom Canzone hits another in the top of the 9th. He hits a towering 2-run shot to double the Mariners' score at that point in time, but it wasn't enough. Like I said, though, and I mentioned earlier, when Canzone is able to get a hold of a ball, he really can drive it. That added muscle has helped him so far this year. You're hoping, again, that he's able to make the better swing decisions and have a strong year at the plate for the Mariners. Our player of the game, it's not Canzone. It is Josh Rojas. Rojas, for the second time this year already, has had to appear in relief, which isn't great. You don't really want him to have to do that. But 2 hits on the day, 1 run, 1 RBI, 1 walk, and he pitched in 1 inning of relief. So, nice for Josh there to get in and really continue to make an impact for this Mariners team in a bunch of different positions. He had a nice start to the year at the plate. Can't really be mad at him, not at least compared to some of how his other teammates are playing. So anyway, we move into our first player of the week for the Mariners this year, and I'm going with Ty France this past week. Over the last 7 days, France, 3 games played, 4 hits, 2 runs, 1 RBI, 2 walks, a 400 batting average, 500 OPB, BP, a 500 slugging to create a 1,000 OPS. He, as long as his wife Maggie, welcomed their newborn boy into the world. So congratulations to Ty and Maggie. That's why we'll get into the roster-related moves here and team-related news, why Ty France was put on the paternity list. They had been wondering about it through the end of spring training, but Maggie and Ty welcome a little boy into the world. So congratulations to them. I know it's been a long time coming. So congratulations to them. Both really great people. And, you couldn't be happier for a set of folks. So we continue. We'll go straight into injury-related news and some updates here. On the 1st of April, Matt Brash threw a bullpen in Arizona on the day and mixed in some sliders. He wasn't yet throwing at maximum effort, but was making steady progress. Reliever Gregory Santos' MRI came back clean, and he began light baseball activities that day. He's in a similar sort of situation to other reliever Eduard Bazardo. Of those 3 relievers, though, Brash is believed to be the one that's furthest along. All of them, Santos and Bazardo should need full spring trainings, though. Brash had already pitched had been through a little bit of spring training, so he won't need as much. Starter Brian Wu was down for a little over a week, but had also resumed baseball activity. He is on track for a short term on the injured list. And then infielder/outfielder Sam Haggerty, who was out with a non-baseball related injury. We haven't been able to get any sort of update to that. I know some people were asking us on Twitter. I'm sorry that I don't have an update on what it is. Haggerty is making progress and has resumed workouts. He has been making rehab assignment games with the Tacoma Rainiers as they've been in Salt Lake playing the Bees this weekend. On the 7th, As you can see on your screen, Gabe Spire was dealing with neck discomfort in his outing on the 6th. He woke up with it, got treatment, and was able to throw pregame, but the discomfort could be felt in the game at full intensity. It did make it difficult to finish pitches, hence the command issues and velocity drop. Spire did get his neck worked on after that game and got treatment on the morning of the 7th. He was able to throw off the mound pregame and said he could pitch if needed. He didn't end up having to, as the Mariners got blown out in that one. We go straight into team-related news here because we got a bunch of stuff. On the 2nd, the team claimed left-handed pitcher Sammy Peralta off of waivers from the Chicago White Sox. The 25-year-old Peralta reported immediately to AAA Tacoma. He had yet to appear in a game for the White Sox this season. He pitched in 3 spring training games with Chicago, going 0 for 1 with a 5.40 ERA, 3.1 innings pitched, 2 earned runs against, with 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, and a home run against. The Queens, New York native was designated for assignment by the White Sox back on the 28th of March. The 6'2", 215-pound lefty made his major league debut last season, pitching in 20 games for the White Sox and going 2-0 with a 4.05 ERA, accumulating 9 earned runs across 20 innings pitched, 11 walks, and 18 strikeouts. He earned his first career win back on August 6th at the Cleveland Guardians. Peralta has also appeared in parts of 4 minor league seasons in the White Sox organization, recording a record of 14-12 with 10 saves, a 3.96 ERA, 98 earned runs across 223 innings pitched, 67 walks, 270 strikeouts, and a 1.22 whip in 112 games, 9 starts. So we go from that. And lastly, to wrap it up here with you, on the 5th, I almost said the 12th. We haven't even gotten there yet. The Mariners recalled infielder/outfielder Samad Taylor from AAA Tacoma as they put infielder Ty France on the paternity list. So again, congratulations to Ty. It was also nice for Samad Taylor to come up here. He's shown some flash, especially with his speed. He can play the infield, can play the outfield. He's a player that will be a valuable asset, whether it's in AAA Tacoma, up with the big league club. So just to briefly look at it here, as the banner will say, I do feel like there's some progress made. You're seeing the offense be a little bit better than they were throughout the latter half of that opening homestand. Doesn't mean that things are complete, though. Julio's still trying to get some things together. JP's been hitting the ball hard. That's the big thing. And a lot of positive sort of notes for this Mariners offense. Folks have been hitting the ball hard. Ty France has been hitting the ball hard. JP Crawford's been hitting the ball hard. Jorge Polanco's been hitting the ball hard. Luis Urias has been hitting the ball hard. Luis had a solid series against his former team in Milwaukee. So there are positive things there. You're just waiting for them to start to put it together in more of a complete notion. You really don't get all 9 hitters going at a consistent rate, but if you're able to get a majority of them going, then you see positive results. Plus, on the other hand of things, at least the second way through the rotation, a bunch of the starters for the Mariners haven't been doing too well. Luis Castillo didn't look too great. George Kirby got roughed up, as we mentioned. Emerson Hancock struggled in this start. Logan Gilbert could have had a better start. Bryce Miller was great, so there was that. But again, I'm not pressing the big red panic button. If at least, you're on my show. It's my opinion, right? It's not great. You need to improve upon it, obviously, but I'm not super worried like some fans across social media are right now. So we'll go straight to it. The team sits at a record of 4 wins and 6 losses on the year. That's good for 3rd in the American League West. Looking ahead, they will continue their 6-game road trip when they head up to Canada to play the Toronto Blue Jays for 3 games. April 8th is actually the Blue Jays' home opener, funny enough. That's got a 4:07 p.m. first pitch. Pacific time. April 9th at the Blue Jays is also a 4:07 p.m. Pacific time first pitch. April 10th to close out that series and get back home is a 12:07 p.m. first pitch against the Blue Jays up there in Toronto. Once they have a day off from returning from their road trip, the Mariners will begin a 3-game series against the Chicago Cubs at home. April 12th versus the Cubs is a 6:40 p.m. first pitch. It's Mariners hoodie night that night. April 13th versus the Cubs is also a 6:40 p.m. first pitch. That's Salute to Armed Forces night, which is a military hat giveaway. And then April 14th versus the Chicago Cubs is a 1:10 p.m. start. That is a Sunday Little League day, as a bunch of the kids post-game will be getting a Mitch Haniger poster upon leaving the ballpark. Before we continue over into our Storm segment of the show here, we'll pass it off to Roman and Wayne of the Layup Lounge as they can go into another episode here. I believe it'll be episode 5 of the Layup Lounge encircling Seattle sports here on Converge Media. You know, talking about the local hoop scene, talking about Seattle. I know that they just passed 300, I believe it was 300 followers. So it might have been 300 subscribers. But either way, like, they're well on their way. Those guys are doing it the right way. It's always been a great source since they started, for me at least, to keep into the NBA and keep up with what's going on there. Because truthfully, since the Sonics are gone, I don't really care outside of a few players here and there. But I just want to shout out my guys Roman and Wayne for keeping it up and being on the show here. I believe again this will be episode 5 of them being part of our weekly show. So Wayne and Roman, I'm proud of you guys. Keep pushing. This is really only just the beginning for you. And take it away.
Orlando Magic. Oh.
Yo. What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the Layup Lounge. This is Wayne, and I'm here with my guy, Roman. What's going on, Ro?
What's going on?
Man, I'm happy to be back in the Layup Lounge. We're here for our Seattle Hoop Talk segment. Once a week, we come to you talking some local talk about high school, college, pro hoops, all focused on players from Seattle, Tacoma, the greater Washington area. So let us know down in the comments who we're missing out on, but let's go ahead and dive into some fresh topics for today. To start, Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi have their own broadcast special on ESPN.
Yeah.
Sue Bird being a Storm legend. But on their broadcast, Diana had some interesting stuff to say about some of the upcoming WNBA stars. Commenting about Caitlin Clark, she said, quote, reality is coming. And then also about Angel Reese, she was saying how she's saying bye-bye to her current career once she gets to the WNBA. So, Roman, I kind of just want to get your instant reaction. How do you feel about Diana's comments coming out the young star? She's still in the league herself, still playing, 20-year vet, but she's making some comments about the top dogs coming into the league. So how are you feeling?
Like, I'm not going to lie. I mean, DT and Stu, they're one of the, they're two of the pioneers of women's basketball and, how we look at it today. But, I mean, when it comes to Diana's comments, it comes out as hate. I ain't going to lie. I mean, I think that, Diana is considered the GOAT or one of the GOATs in the WNBA. That word gets thrown around a lot. And I don't know if it just irks her that word is being thrown Caitlin's way now, especially because you see the way that she's been playing on a high level, all the attention she gets. Like, it's crazy. Like, women's basketball has never been up this much before Caitlin Clark and her play. So, I don't know. It almost sounds like she feels threatened in a way. It might be good for the league at the same time. But, yeah, she's hating.
I think you said it best. DT and Sue Bird, they're WNBA legends. They're solidified regardless of anything.
And if you watch, Sue Bird was trying to,
that's what I'm saying.
And
she was trying to reel it in a little bit. She wasn't trying to like promote it or anything. She was like, just kind of like playing it off.
And I will say they should have canceled that broadcast when they were playing UConn. But like, obviously they're talking about who was better between Caitlin and Paige or whatever. Like, they're playing UConn. They're going to go for the UConn player,
some
obviously.
Bias.
Like, the biasness was also heavy on that one.
Her comments, though, I think they're good for the game. I feel like the fact that there's a WNBA vet, like we said, one of the solidified veterans, challenging these incoming players, letting them know it's not going to be easy, it's not going to be a cakewalk. I think the fact that her comments are getting eyes and getting attention, I think it's pushing the game to new limits and new heights. On January 31st, the Seattle Storm, they moved the 4th overall pick in this upcoming draft, along with Kia Nurse, to the Los Angeles Sparks in exchange for a 2026 first-rounder. But this was the trade that freed up some space for us to bring in Nneka Ogwumike as well as Skylar Diggins. So we brought in some new veterans to pair up with Jewel Lloyd, but we lost the 4th overall pick in this upcoming draft. So now that the tournament's kind of played out and we see kind of some of the top-end talent that's going to shake out in this draft, Roman, how do you feel about that trade that the Storm executed on January 31st?
I'm not mad at it because I think that Jewel Lloyd wants to compete, and I think that putting like solidified talent around her, shows that we're going for it, But at the same time, I think a player like, Cameron Brink, I think that's her name, Angel Reese, like those bigs, I think that, we could have had something to build off with them, especially because they're young,
definitely
coming in as rookies and they're talented. And so that could have been like a 1-2 punch tandem between whoever we picked with that 4th pick, enjoy Lloyd. I don't know. I'm not mad at like I said, I'm not really mad at it just because we got solidified talent, but at the same time, it would have been cool to see Angel Reese in the Storm uniform.
That's the angle I'm looking at it from. And I kind of feel like we should have just retained that pick. Like, I'm glad we got those vets in. Like, they're definitely going to be effective players. Welcome to the city. But at the same time, I feel like if we were to bring in like an Angel Reese, like you said, like eyes would be on Seattle. Like, regardless of where she goes, Cameron Brink, girl from South Carolina that we can't think of. Regardless of where they go, like the eyes are going to be on them because they're the new wave of the WNBA. And I feel like this is like the first class of WNBA prospects where people are going to monitor their entire careers almost and just want to keep up with these players. So I feel like it would have been nice to get one of those players, but I'm happy that we got Sky Dig and Aneka. So exciting. Yeah. And now just doing a brief NBA check-in with some of our 206 and 253 hoopers that reside in the association. Malachi Flynn scored 50 points for the Detroit Pistons in their game against the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Malachi Flynn, put up a 50 ball. The 3rd player in NBA history to score 50 off the bench. So, I mean, I
think Jamal Crawford is one.
Jamal Crawford as well. I mean, it's a Washington thing. We can score the ball and we can score the ball off the bench is what we can do. So, shout out to Malachi Flynn. Keep doing your thing, brother.
Sure.
And yeah, come sit in the Layup Lounge with us.
Come on.
Lastly, the Orlando Magic currently sit at the 3rd seed, frontlined by Paulo Banchero, Seattle native. And they're still rallying for playoff position. They could fall anywhere from 3 to, I believe, 7, somewhere in that range. But the fact that they sit at the 3 seed, he's been an all-star this year. Do you think Paulo deserves an all-NBA nod? Do you think he's one of the best top 3 power forwards in the NBA?
Absolutely. I think that, coming into this year, I feel like we didn't have these high expectations of the Orlando Magic. I think that we're looking at him like a young team. I truly believe there's some, they're similar to OKC, like just in the East. Like OKC, we didn't expect them to go as far as they are. Now they're in the top 3 seed in their conference, and we're looking at Orlando like they're in the same mold in a way. And I think that they could really make some noise going into the playoffs. I won't be surprised if they can make the Eastern Conference Finals.
Shout out to Peasy. Shout out to the Orlando Magic.
Oh, bro, hey, shout out to that admin too, man.
No. Thank you guys for tapping in again. That's another local Hoop Talk segment. We'll see you guys next week. Please go ahead and like and subscribe.
We just hit 300.
We just hit 300 subs on YouTube. We're approaching 300 followers on Instagram. Thank you for the continued love. Keep hitting them comments. Let us know what we should talk about. All love from the Layup Lounge. Shout out to Circling Sports. Shout out to Chuck. Let's keep going, y'all.
My dogs.
Let's do it. Ronnie James.
So, taking it over from our friends Roman and Wayne, the Layup Lounge, we'll go over here into our Storm segment. And it's not a ton going on recently. We will say, before we get into the piece of news that we're going to go over, here at Circling Seattle Sports, we have welcomed a new writer into our folds. Welcome, Christian, to the show. And not to the show necessarily, but to Circling Seattle Sports. Christian will be helping us with Storm coverage and maybe a few other things as the year progresses, but really excited to add Christian. Has been working on the Dallas Wings beat previously, so, obviously knows what he's talking about. I had some great conversations leading into it, and just really excited to add him to our team, continue to tell great stories of our Storm in the WNBA, and continue to push forward as, one of the outlets here in Seattle that really focuses on women's sports and makes it really about all of Seattle sports, not just the Seahawks or the Mariners. So want to say a hello to Christian and welcome aboard to our friend there, and then get into this piece of Storm-related news. So recently, over this past week, the team announced their theme games for the 2024 season. So obviously, in addition to the fact that they've brought in Nneka Ogwumike and Skylar Diggins-Smith to help form this core four with Jewel Lloyd and Ezzy Magbegor, you're bringing Sammy Whitcomb back, Mercedes Russell's coming back. You've got the rookies from last year with Jordan Horst and, not rookies anymore, Dulcie Fanko-Mangiadu and Jade Melbourne, on top of a slew of players that have been signed to training camp contracts. The Storm have brought out their list of theme nights, which will only help bring even more fans out to Climate Pledge Arena. So we'll go through it. As you can see on your screen, May 14th is opening night, presented by Providence Swedish against the Minnesota Lynx. May 25th is the team's toy drive, benefiting Seattle Children's June 29th is Pride Night, presented by Amazon. July 10th is Storm into STEM Kids Day, presented by Pacific Science Center. July 14th is the Believe in Women Day, presented by Symetra. August 30th is Storm Out Cancer Night, presented by Providence Swedish Cancer Institute. September 7th is Kicks for Equality and Sneaker Ball, presented by Symetra, supported by Bank of America and BECU. And the final one of the season, September 17th, Fan Appreciation Night, presented by Coinbase against the Las Vegas Aces. We go over here to look at a bunch of these, with opening night. The Storm will begin its 25th season in franchise history by giving away a unique promotion that night, with the first 5,000 fans receiving a commemorative piece of the championship court. Wow. Huh. That's interesting. The Storm's annual toy drive game benefiting Seattle Children's on May 25th. Fans are encouraged to bring toys and deposit them in the specially marked receptacles outside of Climate Pledge Arena the night of that game. Additionally, fans can purchase items through an Amazon wish list beginning on May 16th leading into that, while Storm center Ezzy Magbagor and other players from the team will then deliver the presents to patients at Seattle Children's Hospital. Pride Night, obviously a fan favorite, returns as Seattle takes on the Dallas Wings on June 29th. A special giveaway is being planned for fans attending the game, along with special programming and in-game activations to be announced when we get to early June. Storm into STEM Kids Day, presented by Pacific Science Center, has been scheduled for the July 10th against the defending champion Las Vegas Aces. Kids from throughout the Puget Sound region are invited to come out and cheer on the Storm while also learning about STEM at various locations throughout Climate Pledge Arena. The day will also feature a special kids giveaway and kid-themed programming throughout the day. Believe in Women Day, presented by Symetra, for July 14th as the team hosts the Atlanta Dream. The annual event, which has taken place since 2006, honors Seattle area businesswomen and civic leaders of color, driven by their shared philosophy that women and girls should have the chance to succeed at every level, no matter their race, ethnicity, or gender. The 2024 honorees for that will be announced in mid-June. Storm Out Cancer Night on August 30th versus the New York Liberty. This is the 9th annual event that encourages fans to help raise awareness for cancer research while also supporting the Providence Swedish Cancer Institute we'll start that over. I apologize. The Providence Swedish Cancer Institute's Patients Assistant Fund. There we go. In addition, a giveaway is being planned for the game with more information to come later. The Kicks for Equality game on September 7th against the Phoenix Mercury. We'll see the return of Sneaker Ball, a unique event in the ultra-premium Moet and Chandon Imperial Lounge at Climate Pledge Arena, designed to celebrate the convergence of fashion and sneaker culture. Sneaker Ball invites guests to express their creative fashion sense and pair with their coolest kicks. Fans will also have the chance to bid on player-worn custom sneakers depicting their respective social justice initiatives designed by artist Brianna Berry. Closing out with Fan Appreciation Night, of course, against those Las Vegas Aces on the 17th of September. The night features prizes, giveaways, a special halftime show, and more as Seattle prepares what could be a deep playoff run later that week. So be sure to get your tickets. Of course, there are season tickets, store mini plans, and group experiences that are available for purchase. Single game tickets are on sale, on pre-sale starting today, and to the general public starting on April 15th. So obviously there's a lot of reason to be excited for Storm basketball in 2024, whether it is the big additions made via free agency this past offseason, or this current offseason, pardon me. Jewel Lloyd's locked up for 2 more years in that contract. Ezzy Magbagor continues her progression and her growth. Mercedes Russell is looking at, I would say a bounce back year, but building off of a year after, dealing with injury. In addition to the many fun theme nights that we just looked at, and then we've heard it from a bunch of different players around the WNBA. Climate Pledge Arena is a great atmosphere, and I can tell you from being there just about every home game last season, the atmosphere was incredible for a Storm team that finished near the bottom of the league and win-loss record. It felt like a playoff atmosphere almost every home night, even if the team, was getting blown out. So I encourage you to come out, support the WNBA. If you really have been such a fan of what's been happening in college women's basketball with the March Madness tournament with Caitlin Clark, the team will be playing Caitlin Clark in the Indiana Fever, no doubt, unless for some reason the Fever decided to trade out of that pick, but I doubt it. Camila Cardoso was excellent for South Carolina in their win over the Iowa Hawkeyes in the national championship game yesterday. Cameron Brink from Stanford's going to be going to a team in the top 4, I'm sure. So there's so much. Angel Reese is going to be in the draft this year from LSU. I apologize. So there's a lot of reason to be excited with so many of those talented players that were in college women's basketball coming to the WNBA this year. Support your local WNBA team. Watch the league, engage, all this, that. Support it, because you've seen how much women's sports has progressed and grown in the last few years. And this is, this isn't like a flash in the pan. We've seen it. It's growing. And I'd rather you be on the right side of history with us at Circling Seattle Sports than left in the dust and looking like a fool. So that's that. That might have been corny. That little... Yeah, we'll go on. We'll go on into our Sounders side of things. And, I use the Shawshank Redemption meme gif, sorry. When he's sitting up and looking at the rain. We finally have a Sounders win to look at. The 6th match of the year for the Sounders in the year of 2024. They finally have a victory, as we'll look into it right now. April 6th versus CF Montreal. The Sounders won by a big score of 5-0. Our player of the match, forward Raul Ruidiaz, the Peruvian, a 9.1 match rating, 90 minutes played in this one, 2 goals scored. He had both of them for his Braves coming in the first half, both of them coming within a span of 7 minutes, of each other. A 1.41 expected goals. 100% passing. He completed all 33 of the passes that he attempted and 6 shots on target. Raul looked great. In the second half, he played all 90 minutes. It looked like he was going to get that 3rd goal. He wasn't able to complete it, though. He was happy with the win, obviously. With Seattle having the 2-goal lead going into the half, they're able to add 3 goals in the second half with goals by Jordan Morris just 2 minutes after the halftime whistle. Alex Roldan was able to score off a great feed from Albert Rusnak. And Dylan Teves, our buddy Dylan Teves, who we have interviewed over at Circling Seattle Sports and is a University of Washington alum, added the 5th goal in the 97th minute, or the 90+7 minute. Just a really great win. We'll go straight into the injury report here, because there are some things that relate to our story of this match. 4 players were out. The injury list is shortening, which is nice. It's just a positive. A few of the usual players here. Reed Baker Whiting continues to battle with a hamstring injury. He is closer to returning, though. He might need a week or so, but he is getting closer to a return. Leo Chu had been in training with the team as he was out with a knee injury. He could be good to go as soon as next week. Midfielder Pedro de la Vega, without the hamstring injury, he is expected to be on the same track that was originally stated for him when he was noted to be out 6 to 8 weeks. That would likely make him available in 3 to 4 weeks. And forward Bradilio Rodriguez out with a hamstring injury. We haven't gotten much of an update on him. And then João Paulo was questionable. He did sub on in the 79th minute and played the rest of the match there. So that was nice to get him back. We do have a piece of injury news from that match against Montreal. Nuhu did leave the match with a left thigh injury, but Brian Schmetzer did downplay it. And it said he would be fine, so it doesn't sound like it's going to be a long-term thing. When Nuhu initially went down on the field, it looked like maybe a tear or something in the lower body. But, if we're going to take any of what Brian Schmetzer said here into stock, then it doesn't sound like it's going to be something that's really going to hurt Nuhu in the long term. But that's if we're going to believe that. At least with that, it is somewhat – there's some positive, it sounds like, with – usually if there is a long-term injury, it's noted somewhat quickly after it happens. But, at least, and that doesn't always a certainty, but it doesn't sound like we have that in the immediate future to be worried about with Nuhu. In team-related notes, we'll go straight into it. On the 4th, the club and Providence officially introduced Rave Green's generational new home in Renton, the Providence Swedish Performance Center and Clubhouse. So the Sounders facility at Long Acres gets an official name, as I just read to you, the Providence Swedish Performance Center and Clubhouse. On the 4th, they announced the official naming of the club's new state-of-the-art training grounds and club headquarters down in Renton. It serves obviously as their home for the club as it celebrates its 50th anniversary this year and looks ahead to setting the foundation for its next 50 years and beyond. As part of the community-focused partnership between the club and Providence originally entered back in 2023, the new news of this marks more than simply an agreement regarding a facility name and highlights the commitment of the two organizations to deepening the core tenets of their partnership. Those tenets include providing best in-class performance care and medical services to the club's players, as Providence Swedish serves as the official medical services provider and official healthcare partner of the Sounders. Make what comments which you will. I don't have any power over that. Under this partnership, physicians from Providence Swedish serve as the club's team doctors, working alongside the sports medicine staff to support the club's goal of competing for and winning championships by helping players manage acute injuries, maximize rehabilitation and training, prevent injuries, and navigate general health needs. Additionally, the club and Providence remain staunchly centered in serving the greater community through driving meaningful impact around youth mental health and wellness. That comes directly from the club's press release. That's what's being said. So interesting, at least to have a name there. I'm sure a lot of us will just remain to call them Longacres. So we'll briefly talk about the Sounders win here. I mean, because we've kind of talked about it, but I mean, you get the offensive impact. Nice to see Raul score. Had a nice volley to get the first one. Scores on a penalty on the second one. No Panenka this time. In the second half, 2 minutes in, Jordan Morris is able to score on a back heel. His label is a scorpion, but there was just, it bounced off a Montreal defender and then off the Montreal goalkeeper to go in. Nice build-up for the Alex Roldan goal. Raul finds Albert Rusnak going into the box. Rusnak across the box is able to see Alex Roldan streaking in from his right-back position to find the easy tap-in goal. And then Dylan Teves as well, kind of off-balance shot, like falling backwards, is able to get a shot off and beat the Montreal goalkeeper to make it 5. Stefan Fry was solid in net when he needed to be. Montreal really only had one chance. It came in the 38th minute off a header, and he was able to make a great save there, so he gets another clean sheet. Seattle's getting healthier outside of, obviously, the knock that Nuhu took. Nice to get João Paulo back. Albert Rusnak really building back into his form, fully healthy form as well. Could get Leo Chu back next week. So really nice there. The Sounders will have to head on the road here as we look into it. A record of 1 win, 3 losses, and 2 draws, resulting in 4 points. The Sounders sit at the 24th standing in the entirety of MLS, 12th in the Western Conference. Their next match in Frisco, April 13th at FC Dallas as a 5:30 p.m. start. FC Dallas has been a little banged up to begin the year, so if you're the Sounders coming off of this win where you've just scored 5 goals and you recorded the clean sheet, you'll feel good about yourself to an extent, but just knowing that, this could be a trap if you want to look at it that way, and you haven't had the best success in Frisco recently. I know that, in the playoff round last year, the Sounders lost that leg at FC Dallas. You're looking to continue the positive momentum and obviously continue to move up throughout the standings. So we'll go directly into our Kraken here, and there's more positive to look at than negative with the Kraken. So we're back up from last week when it was like negative. It was all bad. It was all evil. It was all sad. Going to our Kraken here, 3 games over the course of the past week, all of them on the road and all of them in the state of California. April 1st at the San Jose Sharks, a 4-2 victory. Our player of the game. Sorry, I have player of the match here. We're not in soccer. Forward Eli Tolvi, 2 assists, 2 points, 2 plus minus, and 2 hits on the day. So able to take care of business despite the Sharks hanging into this game here. April 3rd at the Kings, a 2-5 loss. Our player of the game, forward Yanni Gourde, 1 assist, 1 point, 1 plus minus, and 1 hit. Seattle goes into the third period down by 3 goals, getting shut out at the point in time. They are able to get 2 goals, but the Kings do push ahead. And this loss here officially eliminated the Kraken from postseason contention. I mean, we knew it was coming, but this officially mathematically took Seattle out of any hope of the playoffs. So tough there. I mean, tough for you to look at Brandon Tanev's sad face on your screen right now, but you'll have to deal with it. And then to wrap up that California road trip, April 5th at the Anaheim Ducks, a 3-1 victory. Our player of the game, forward Shane Wright. Shaner, 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points on the day for Shane, a 1+- and 5 shots. This was a high-paced one, a fast-paced one. Shane Wright gets 2 goals there. Feels good about it. Jordan Eberle records his 700th career point with an assist on one of the goals there. So congratulations to Ebbs. Shane has a great game. He looks confident. Able to get those 2 goals. Seattle able to take care of a pesky Ducks team and complete that road trip with a win. So you get 2 wins out of 3 games. Not bad. Hard to complain about that. We go directly into our Kraken player of the week, and it's been a long time since we've had a Kraken player of the week. I went with Shane Wright. Over 3 games played on that road trip. 3 goals scored, 1 assist, 4 points over those 3 games played, a 1+- and 9 shots. Most importantly, I think it just you really saw Shane look like he's ready for the NHL level on a consistent basis, which it sounded like, and not necessarily sounded like, but Ron Francis has said throughout the course of this season, more directly around the trade deadline, that the plan is for Shane Wright to be up here on a consistent basis starting next season at the NHL level. And Shane looks confident, looks good. It looks like the development plan that they had in place for Shane down in Coachella Valley with the Firebirds at the AHL level has worked. He will go back down to Coachella Valley probably soon, as a few more games here and the first year of his entry-level contract will be burned up. But no, just exciting to see him get into it, look confident, look good, and help the Kraken win a few games there. So we'll go straight into it just because there's more of it. As you can see here on your screen, the long, fun adventures of defenseman Cale Fleury. On April 1st, the team recalled defenseman Cale Fleury from the Firebirds on an emergency basis. The next day, on the 2nd, he was reassigned to Coachella Valley and the Firebirds. And then later in the week, there is a piece of other team news we'll get to that was in between these, but because it's all Cale related, we'll get to it. On the 5th, the team recalled defenseman Cale Fleury from the Firebirds on an emergency basis, but he was reassigned on the 6th. Adam Larson and Vince Dunn both missed a contest here. Adam Larson, there's no official ruling for why his Ironman streak was broken there. There's some thought that his partner Vera might be close to having their child, but that's not a confirmation. That is rumor. Don't take it for stock. We go over here to the other piece of team news that I mentioned on the 3rd, continuing with the last few weeks and what we've seen over the last few weeks. The team signed goaltender Victor Osman to a 2-year entry-level contract. The college free agent out of the University of Maine was signed to a 2-year, 2-way contract at $950,000 AAV, set to begin next season, and he is currently expected to report to the team's AHL affiliate, the Coachella Valley Firebirds, on an amateur tryout contract for the remainder of the year. In this quote from the press release from Kraken general manager Ron Francis, Victor adds to our goaltending depth, and we look forward to working with him as he continues to develop. Osman is a 6'4", 205 goaltender, posting a 13-win, 6-loss, 1 overtime loss record with a 2.81 goals against average and an .892 save percentage in 21 games this season for the University of Maine Black Bears. He recorded 5 consecutive wins from December 3rd to the 20th of 2023, helping the Black Bears defeat UConn, Union, Bentley, RIT, and Dartmouth by a combined score of 23-9. The netminder began the streak by making a season-high 38 saves on December 3rd against the UConn Huskies, an eventual 7-3 Maine victory. Osman finished his collegiate career having posted a 35, 38, and 7 record with a .905 save percentage and a 2.82 goals against average in 87 games for the Black Bears from the 2020-21 season to 2023-24. The goaltender had a career year in 2022-23, setting NCAA career bests in wins at 14, shutouts at 5, and a save percentage at .918. And goals against average at 2.21. His efforts that season earned him several accolades. He was the semifinalist for the Mike Richter Award, presented to the top NCAA men's goaltender each season. He was named to Hockey East's second All-Star team, named the Hockey East Goaltender of the Month in December, the Hockey East Player of the Week on January 30th, and the Hockey East Goaltender of the Week on February 27th. In addition to that on-ice performance, Osman earned Hockey East All-Academic honors in the years 22 and 23. Prior to that collegiate career that we just talked about, Osman, a native of Sweden, played one season for the Chicago Steel of the USHL, posting a 25, I don't know why I said 25, 4-0 record with a .913 save percentage and a 2.34 goals against average. He did attend the Kraken's development camp this past year at KCI. So that will wrap up our Kraken segment of the show here. We go into it. The Kraken sit at a 32-win, 31-loss, 13 overtime loss record, good for 5th in the Pacific Division at 77 points. The Kraken have a full slate of games ahead, including their last 2 regular season games of the year. April 9th versus the Arizona Coyotes is a green night. A 7 o'clock start on Root Sports. April 11th, the final home game of the season and fan appreciation night is against the San Jose Sharks. That's a 7 o'clock start. That's the last home game of the year, as mentioned. Then the next 2 games that the Kraken will play after that to begin a road trip at the end of the year. April 13th at the Dallas Stars is the first of a back-to-back. That's a 12 o'clock noon start. That's on ABC. And then April 14th, starting at the St. Louis Blues, is a 10 a.m. start, and that game is on TNT. And we wrap things up here with today's show with our Seattle Reign FC. Not a ton going on with the club itself as they are off with international duty, but with an international duty, we have some Reign players who are representing their countries all around the world. So we'll go into that. It was announced over the past week that 6 players from the club were called into international duty, including forward Jordan Huitema with Canada, midfielder Jess Fishlock, midfielder Anghra James or Haas, defender Lily Woodham for Wales, 3 of them for Wales, midfielder Ji Soo-yoon out of the Korea Republic, and then forward Emery Adamas with the U20 U.S. team. Quinn was going to be with Canada for the She Believes Cup, but they were taken out of that roster for Canada with the concussion that they've been dealing with. So unfortunately, Quinn not able to participate there. We go into Reign participation with their respective international teams. The Wales players were the biggest highlight here. Jess Fishlock scored twice. Anghra James scored as well in Wales' 4-0 win over Croatia. Fishlock was named the player of the match. It was her 149th appearance for Wales. She also scored with those 2 goals, her 41st and 42nd goals for Wales, helping her pass Gareth Bale for the second all-time leading scorer in history for Wales, just 2 goals behind Helen Ward. So really impressive there for Jess, to be, I don't know how much longer she'll play, to be up in her years, so to say, in her career, and still be, an elite playmaker, an elite scorer, someone who continues to impact the game, an elite player as a whole. It's just really impressive. Jess, I promise I'm not trying to call you old. I am sorry. Just really impressive to see her doing so. And especially, when it's country, it just matters more, right? When you're representing your country, representing your colors, you're wearing the flag on yourself for your respective country. It's a big deal. So, to continue to be able to do that for years and years is an impressive feat all on its own. So, G with South Korea scored in the team's 3-0 win over the Philippines. As a part Filipino person, that hurts me, but cool to see G succeed there. Jordan Huitema with Canada did play 84 minutes in Canada's win over Brazil in the She Believes Cup, but did not register any notable stats there. So nice to see, always the Reign players having the involvement, with their respective national teams. But the big thing, obviously, you want them to do well on international duty, but also you're just hoping that they get back healthy, for the Reign and just in general as well. So the Reign sit at a 1-win, 2-loss. Sorry. Sorry, I screwed this up. I didn't update this part of the notes. You've been falling behind, Chuck. Not good. I did great with the rest of the episode. This part, not so much. That's terrible. Terrible job. 1 win, 2-loss record. There you go. 11th in the NWSL table at this current point in time as we sit at the international break with 3 standings points. Looking ahead, it's a tough task. Their next match to finish out their 3-game road trip that they've been playing on, the 3 consecutive games on the road. April 14th at Bay FC is a 5 p.m. Pacific time start. It's their first match ever against expansion side Bay FC. Bay FC's got a lot of talent that they brought in from different parts of the world. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Reign are able to do fare with that, especially considering some of the struggles that they've had, especially to score over the last few weeks. That'll close out our April 8th episode here of Circling Seattle Sports on Converge Media. We've been here for a while, man. Sorry, I was just thinking about before we started covering, started recording here, started doing these episodes in about October 2021, and to see how we've gotten here, and obviously the rebrand is brand new. We've got our partnership with Rough and Tumble, adding writers with Christian. We've added, we didn't really talk about it, Brittany for baseball coverage. We're going to add a new division that we're going to get going soon. We got to get that all locked up. To those involved, I won't say who it is because then it'll ruin it. But to those involved, I'm sorry that it's lagged behind a little bit. Our TikTok's really active now. Shout out to our friend who runs that. Our photographer team is incredible. Liv, at the time of recording this, is out in Everett Silvertips game covering their playoff game. Liz has been incredible throughout it. Rio's been a really great addition. He's a good friend of mine now. Kevin's been the same thing. Having Sam contributed that you saw in the Reign segment with the photos there. I'm just really grateful for it all. There's so much that we want to do here and that we want to contribute and that we want to bring to you coverage wise with these teams. And I'm just thankful for those who are consistent appreciators of our coverage and who want to see what we're going to do next. So if you're going to any of the Kraken games, any of the 2 this upcoming week, make sure at the first intermission you come by and stop at the Living Wall. I will be there both games for that to say hi. If you ever see me, whether it's at a game or out in public, I'm out in public, I might be tough because usually I got my headphones in, so you're going to have to stop me. Please feel free to come and talk, whether it's about our teams, or you just want to talk. I'm always really grateful when our followers come up and speak and interact. Or if you've on social media, feel free to ask questions, leave comments here, whether it's in the main show or in the individual segments. Nicole, I promise I'm going to put timestamps in this one. So yeah, I haven't really been able to sit down and reflect in a while. It's been a really hectic last few weeks, but the last 5 years of doing this have been really hectic. Just really grateful. Really grateful. So until we see you next week, take care of yourselves, be well, remember what it's like to live a little bit, and I'll see you next week. Love you, and I will see you soon.